Like, so yeah, I guess let's go into this rent strike because this is going to be a whole nother,
April 1st.
Whole nother thing here.
By the time you are watching this, it is April 1st.
It's already too late.
And I'm going to issue an apology. Not an apology. What's the right word? My empathy, my sympathy, my condolences to all of you who are on the internet on April 1st. It is the worst day. It is the day that hell comes to earth.
Oh, man.
Because the internet is full of morons who think they're funny saying stupid things. And I'm just like, bro, it's not funny. Shut up. April Fools is stupid.
It really
We're not
is.
kids anymore.
It's
so
just
over it.
It's so annoying. It's like,
April Fools.
you ever have a friend who's not funny, who constantly makes jokes, and you're like,
Yes.
No.
That's April
Everybody
Fools.
has those friends.
It's April Fools.
Man.
But anyway,
the
you
internet
didn't-
turns into that
Yes.
friend on April.
You didn't click
1st.
this video because you were concerned about April Fools. You were concerned about rent strike. So this is a story from the Associated Press. Rent strike idea is gaining steam during coronavirus crisis. And, what do you expect people to do?
What are you supposed to do?
If you have no job and it's because the government shut you down, do
Yeah.
you just be like, well, I guess I'm homeless? Or
No.
this is a struggle because landlords do a job.
Right.
As much as many of the leftists try to argue landlord isn't a job, it is. They maintain properties, they pay taxes, they handle regulations, they get inspected, they do a lot of work. If your roof's leaking, guess what? The landlord's got to fix it. They maintain the properties. And then guess what? When you leave in a year, they have to maintain the property for the 30-year mortgage they have on it. So yeah, it's work that has to be done. People have to be hired for this.
You think they can sign up for unemployment also?
They
with the 3
no,
millions of
business
other people?
loans.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah, they're getting different
There was
kinds of
actually a viral meme that was for landlords. It was an FAQ for landlords, like what to do. And it was like, if I'm a landlord and my property, my tenants aren't paying rent, what do I do? And they said, congratulations. You've gone from a rental management company to a property investment firm. You now have investment property that will be accruing value of the next, however many years, and you don't have to worry about direct income. And then the next question was like, but I rely on this income to pay my employees. And like, congratulations. Your employees and you can now apply for government benefits the same as everyone else who's struggling. And it's like, it was funny. I get it. But it's like, so many people on the left just seem to think that property is a magic box that can just be impenetrable and last forever. They don't realize that damage has to be repaired.
Yeah.
Pipes have to be fixed. Did you know that in Chicago, in the older buildings, in the winter, you have to run the water nonstop?
Or just a little tiny bit. So
the water
can
has to
run out.
So it doesn't freeze. Yeah.
So it doesn't freeze.
And burst the pipes.
Yeah.
Yep. And tenants don't care. So in a lot of these buildings on the south side, the pipes freeze up in the winter and then burst and stop working. And then the landlords have to come in and fix, and the tenants don't care. Not my problem.
Right.
Not my building.
Things held in common are valued
And then
by none.
And then you're in trouble as the landlord because you have to fix it every time.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, right now we have millions of people. Here, let me just read you from the Associated Press. They say, with millions of people suddenly out of work and rent due at the first of the month, some tenants are vowing to go on a rent strike until the coronavirus pandemic subsides. New York, Boston, LA, San Francisco, and St. Louis are among many cities that have temporarily banned evictions. But advocates for the strike are demanding that rent payments be waived, not delayed, for those in need during the crisis. The rent strike idea has taken root in parts of North America and as far away as London. Now, here's the struggle. I empathize. If you've lost your job because the government forced a shutdown, then why should you now be homeless because the government is mandating you don't go to work? At the same time, it's not the landlord's fault. The landlords have to pay their income, have to maintain the properties and hire people. So how does it make sense that you're demanding the government tell you can't pay someone for a service? Put it this way. Let's say you went, I demand, we're going to go on a food strike. I should not have to pay for any food. Food's more important than shelter, right? Yeah. Well, actually, I don't know if that's true. Shelter might be more important than food because you can go a month without food, but you can't go that long without shelter. But anyway, the point is, food's a necessity. What if people went on food strike and demanded that Walmart give them all free food? What's the difference? I mean, it's like shelter lasts longer, I guess. I mean, it's still got to be maintained and paid for.
Yeah. I don't know. This is an issue, though.
Yeah, what do we do?
It feels like the government needs to be helping them out as well. It's like they're the ones who said we got to close it all down.
There is no
out. But they bailed out. They gave $25 million to that school, who then just
the
that was a theater.
Center.
Oh, the theater.
The Kennedy Center. And then they furloughed off everybody.
It's like nice job. I don't know.
But so there is a funny libertarian meme. It's like people line up to gleefully accepting checks, or gleefully line up to receive their own money back from the government.
So
You know, it's
weird.
like, yeah, it's the funny thing about like tax refunds too. It's like people are like, yeah, I'm getting a big refund, and it's like it was your money to begin
That's your
with.
money.
Like they
You
took
should have been
it.
saving it.
Yeah, you should have had it. But I don't know. I don't know how we deal with this problem, man. People, I think there's going to be food riots. I think there's going to be rent riots. There's going to be fights. Because look, man, the same feeling these people have for how they can't pay rent and so they're demanding support. What do you think these management companies are going to be saying about their employees?
Well, the landlords won't be able to pay the mortgage. Like you're just
Or
pushing
pay
the
their
costs
staff.
further up the stream. Yeah.
So, like the place, the apartments in New York where we were at back in the day on in Beds, we're in Bushwick. We're in Bushwick.
Yeah.
It was a company.
No, Bed-Stuy.
Bed-Stuy. It was a company that maintained those buildings and a bunch of other buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So they took care of all the tenants. They weren't great, but whatever. They ran a company. What happens when those bosses are like, dude, if you don't pay, I can't pay my employees? What do they do?
I think it should just keep falling up and all the way up to the banks because they got the money.
Yeah, but money is a representation of like energy and labor.
True.
Like, so you can only do it so many times. We keep printing money, then we're borrowing from ourselves in the future. Everyone's savings will be wiped out. Like you've got $100 now saved in the bank, it's gonna be worth $20.
Yeah.
Because we're just dumping money like crazy in the economy, causing rapid inflation. So is that what we do then?
I don't have the answers.
I don't think there is an answer. I don't know.
I look at this picture, and this is the worst picture to choose for this.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Do they have other pictures here? No, because it's like,
He just looks lazy. And,
yeah, it's like this guy
what?
looks
Dude,
smug.
it looks like he's enjoying like a Saturday.
chilling,
It is a
yeah.
Saturday. He's enjoying a Saturday, sitting
this
outside
Saturday.
and drinking his tea. Whatever.
I'm sorry, man. I feel like a lot of this, part of me wants to feel like it's just an excuse for lazy people who demand free stuff. I know it's not everybody. I know a lot of people are really hurting and struggling and need to pay rent, and they're real people. But I also know a lot of urban socialists who are like, dude, like, why do you even pay rent? It's so dumb. Like, a landlord's not even a job, and food should be free too. And now this happens, and they're like, dude, I'm not paying rent. It's like, do you have the rent money? Well, a lot of people got laid off.
Yeah.
But did you at least have some money to pay rent for this month? Should they pay it? Should they pay food? I don't know, man. Everybody's getting their. You know what? I'll tell you what right now. They just approved a stimulus. Everybody's getting 4 months of guaranteed wages from the federal government. Pay your rent. Rent strike to me sounds like people trying to exploit the system.
Yeah, I agree.
The government's going to give you money plus $1,200. Pay your rent.
Be
Right?
responsible.
What was that company that isn't going to pay their rent?
Cheesecake Factory.
Cheesecake Factory. Yeah.
So
That's-
you don't think that they have profits from?
I totally do, and they should pay their rent.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
absolutely they
So it's
should.
Well-
like it's ridiculous that they're not paying their rent.
And the government's doing a big bailout for everybody. So it
Especially
seems
restaurants.
like, yeah, you got corporate exploitation right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we're not going to pay our rent, not this time. It's like GTFO. I don't know, dude. It's everything is tied together.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to know for sure. Like the AP chose this dude who is like, he looks like an urban lefty,
Looks like a hipster.
and my confirmation, my personal bias against socialists and communists is like my alarm bells are ringing.
Do you
Yeah.
think he dyes his hair?
Yes.
yeah,
you can see-
definitely.
I know, look how bright
Yeah,
it
for
is.
So
sure.
I'm not trying to impugn
That was
the
a
honor
joke.
of this man. I don't know who he is. I'm sure he's probably a fine person.
This fine gentleman.
I just know, look, I know people in New York who are squatting and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I think they're lazy. I think they're conceited, narcissistic individuals.
Dude.
And they
I
would
know those people too.
they would break into buildings in the financial district and then find vacant like office lofts and then put their own padlocks on it. And then when the police come, can't do anything about it. And so that's what they would do. And I'm like, that's so messed up. Like, what?
One of my criteria for being a friend is not being a squatter. I feel like the bar is pretty low. I don't know.
Right.
I guess I don't really know anybody who would squat. I guess I don't have as wide a range of knowledge.
I'm surprised at a lot of the squatting laws we have. You
Yeah,
know,
they are pretty crazy.
so you can go on vacation and someone can break in your house,
yeah, what's up with that?
and then the cops won't kick them out.
Why?
Squatting laws.
What's the idea?
I think
here?
the bigger
What's the difference of you coming in and say you're armed and someone's in your house from that same squatting law? This person's in my house. Get out of my house. You're in my house. Boom. You're not getting out. I felt threatened in my own house.
It's the problem with these squatting laws.
Well, what's the difference though? Isn't it it feels like the same thing?
What you tell the cops, I guess. This is the thing. So I've read stories from people who say that, like, I went on vacation to Europe for a couple of weeks. When I came back, some crazy lady was in my house. When I called the police, she claimed she lived there and the cops wouldn't kick her out. And I'm like, why don't you tell the police this woman just broke into my house? And then when they show up, be like, please get rid of her. And when she screams, it's my house, you can be like, no, she just broke in.
Here's the title.
But what the person does is they go to the police and say, I don't know, I haven't been here in a few weeks. And then she's like, I live here, it's my house. And the cops are like, civil dispute, you take care of it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what would happen if you showed up to someone's house in the middle of the night, broke in, and then just called the police and said, there's a strange man in my house. And when the cops showed up, he said, that guy's sleeping in that room. I don't know who he is, it's my house. They'd probably arrest you. Like, I mean, they probably arrest like the person who lived there.
That's crazy.
So actually, this is a common thing. And it's one of the most annoying and broken things with policing in this country. In most countries, whoever calls the cops first wins. Straight up.
That's not right.
So it's actually a common thing. Well, I don't know if it's common, but it's a technique in grifting, like legit street grifting. Mm-hmm. One of the things you do is that you call the cops on your mark and have the police seize their property for you.
Wow.
And it works. The use of authority is a very common thing in grifting.
I don't know, the video of us talking about what happened to Johnny Depp comes to mind though. About the man versus the female, or and it's always like the girl's always right.
Yeah.
They always side with the girl in any sort of dispute in that sense, and it's like that still kind of holds true though in this situation.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, the guy calls the cops and they come and the girl's like, he was beating me,
right?
Even if it was true or not,
and they'll side with they're
going to side with her.
Yeah, but it's like one of the tricks. I don't want to say too much because I might get in trouble, but without going into too much detail about how some cons work. You basically plant something on a person, mm-hmm. and then call the cops on them, and then you can say, officer, that person has X. That's proof they took it from me, right? Like, so, all right, I'll just say it. One of the.
I mean, you pretty much just did.
Right. So one of the common grifts is a reverse pickpocket.
Right.
You wait for someone. The criminals will wait for someone to leave an ATM, and please don't do any of this stuff. Wait for someone to leave an ATM, and you wait for someone to leave their receipt behind, because people do this all the time.
Yeah.
You then see exactly how much they took out. And then you take a semi-empty wallet with your ID in it, and you reverse pickpocket. You put it on them, call the police, say, I'm following them, and when the police come, you can say, they've got my wallet, my ID's in it, they took $200 cash. The cops will then search them, and the person's going to be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Find the wallet, see it, and be like, we got him. Wow. And that person's going to jail. Because the cop's going to write up, we found the wallet on them, and the cash. Yeah. Whoever calls the cops first wins, and grifters weaponize that against. So I don't know how we got on this subject, but yeah, it's a serious problem. And I know because I've dealt with it firsthand. When I was 19, minding my own business at a mall, security guards beat the crap out of me and my brother. And then when I tried calling 911 as they were beating my brother, they took the phone and hung up. And then they called the police and just lied. And the cops came and arrested us.
Wow.
Oh,
yep.
Man.
So we're walking through the mall, minding our own business. Some guys just grabbed him, throw him to the ground. They took his head, bashed it in the ground. So I'm screaming like, help.
Right.
And then I took my phone and I called 911. He grabs my phone from me. 911 answers, and then he presses end and he laughs and he drops my phone.
Oh my gosh.
Then they call the police and say these guys were threatening people and screaming, and the cops were like, "You got it," and arrested us. And when I said to the cop, "Please get the footage," they attacked us. He was like, "I don't care." He's like, "Literally don't care. It's never gonna happen, dude."
Yeah.
And I said, "But I called you guys first." He's like, "I don't care. I literally don't care." And then we got to spend the night in jail.
Oh man.
Yep. And then we got the case dismissed, and the judge was just like, "You're not going to sue him, are you?" And we were like, "No, Your Honor." He's like, "Fine." Case dismissed. So it was like we were told basically...
case dismissed? All right, now I'm going to sue them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nobody would touch it either, because
Sure, yeah.
the case involved police negligence, and none of the local attorneys wanted to go up against the police department because they also had to work with them. So they were like, "Nope, we're not touching this." And I'm like, so they just get away with it?
Isn't this a wonderful world we live in?
Well, there are problems, but...
There are chances for corruption.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.